Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman, as well as our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham, and intern Erica is on the dials. Guys, big news in the Champagne Boys group, in our lives, but more particularly in Shane's life. Shane, you're having another kid.
Yeah, it's happening. But this is like...
Congrats. That's exciting.
Thank you. It is, but we just found out we're a couple days into knowing. And the only reason it's very like odd to talk about it before the first 3 months for most people.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Didn't you do that last time, though?
Yeah, I'm very odd in the way I approach these things. But this time we weren't exactly sure if we were going to be telling people this early, just because so much shit happens in a pregnancy, like even after the first 3 months, that's a little dicey. But we were always like, oh, we're not worried. If something happens, we'll just be open about it. But it's more just the congratulations coming at me and then be like, oh, this happened. And then we do it again, and then we get another wave of congratulations.
What do you mean when you say this happened? What do
you mean? Miscarriages are common.
Scenario.
Chemical pregnancies. There's a bunch of stuff that can go wrong. And at first I was like, I'm going to be very transparent about anything that goes on because I'm not worried or ashamed or embarrassed. But it is a little bit to put your friends through, like if you're having a lot of miscarriages and then the second you're pregnant to announce it. So I'm just telling you guys, like, not to cool it with the congratulations, but just to let you know there is a chance anything could happen. I'm aware of that, and the main reason we're going forward with it is because Alex has a mom blog where she documents everything that goes on.
Yeah.
The first 3 months are a little stigmatized to talk about, and Alex is a big not big educator, but she's into talking about things that maybe are a little bit more hidden in the pregnancy community. So we've talked about it on this Family Tree podcast, and I'm just saying, hey.
Oh, so is that how we've...
that's how
Felix
people had found out. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like you said, you just found out. This is only a few days old or whatever from the reveal, I'm guessing.
Right.
Yeah. So like it's unconventional to let people know that early, which is the whole point of why Alex is doing this, because it's like, let's go from day one, whereas most people won't talk about it until 3 months.
Yeah, because it would be hard for her to do posts about other things when this is like consuming her life. Like she's already not feeling well. The first trimester is very difficult. So she wants to document that, educate people, and maybe one day people will be less apt to not talk about the first 3 months. Yeah. Won't be as stigmatized.
As far as like online communities go, I can imagine the mom community would be a very that's a trickier one to navigate when it comes to the mess. Like, we just talk about like, what did Drake do this weekend or something like that. Like it's not that like there's nothing particularly controversial, but yeah, I can imagine you have to do a lot of thinking when you're making your posts. And
mainly about the big thing in the mom community is vaccinations.
Oh, yeah.
I think women actually, the mom community welcomes talking about the first 3 months, but no one's really comfortable talking about the first 3 months. So it's not super controversial. It's just not done because people are uncomfortable to say. Because some people get ashamed and embarrassed, and it's very hard on them. And to share that publicly is not something people want to do.
Sure. How many kids do you think you want to have?
Just two.
Just two? Nice.
So done after this for sure.
Yes.
All right.
For sure.
Vasectomy?
No, I don't think. I don't know. It freaks me out, man. I think I'm very good at the pull-out method.
So this one wasn't a mistake. That was very intentional.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we went out on Super Crawl, and our friend Sean Dawson, I'm like, yeah, tonight after this is Alex's last night drinking, and then she's going to be pregnant in the morning. And he's like, oh, yeah, right.
And that was it.
Yeah. So Sean was the first person I told, because he kind of like sarcastically messaged me like 2 weeks later. So she's pregnant, I guess.
You're like, fuck yeah, buddy.
Well, I hadn't taken the test. I'm like, I don't know, but probably. And then I'm like, she is. So he was the first person I told, just to prove I have super sperm. And I know a lot of guys think this, but I think I do have super sperm. I'm just trying to make the headline here for the
title of the episode. Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations to you and your super sperm and Alex and Lucy for their new brother or sister. And
but I won't be posting a picture with like Alex holding her tummy for another like 2.5 months.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
Well, all the best on the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else is going on? I mean, the weekend passed. You and I hung out on Friday night. You saw the Bob Dylan show.
Oh yeah, so there's a musical around the corner from here. It's right by your house. It's on King Street. It's at Royal Alex, and we got hooked up with tickets. And I love Bob Dylan. I love the song "Girl from the North Country."
That's the title of the
That's the title
show.
of the play.
Is it North Country or North County?
I think it's country.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Or maybe it's county.
I've been saying it wrong for years.
Yeah.
I just realized.
And it was written by some Irish playwright. I love Bob Dylan's music. Irish people are good at telling stories. I find them to be charming storytellers. And Girl from the North Country is one of my favorite Dylan songs, but they didn't even sing that song.
What? I was going to make a joke about that. They didn't even do that.
No, they
That's
didn't.
weird.
But what was the most famous Dylan song that appeared in the show?
They did like Rolling Stone. They did Hurricane. But the other thing is I went to go see the Carole King musical, which was playing a few months ago. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And we got sorted out for tickets on that one. And I left the theater buzzing.
Tell people Carole King's biggest song.
Carole King wrote "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." She wrote a solo record called Tapestry. And she's basically like an iconic songwriter.
But did they play the song "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman"?
Yeah.
See, what I was going to say is, if you went to a Chumbawamba play and tub thumping isn't played, you're going to be pissed off a little bit afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big time.
So obviously they kind of misled you with the title of this play and everything.
Shane, should we write a play based on the music of Chumbawamba? That might be a fun exercise.
It would be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, we probably don't have enough time these days, and you got another kid on the way, but it'd be a fun, creative experiment.
I Get Knocked Down.
Yeah.
I Get Up Again.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast.
It'd be starring Danny Boy, because they mentioned him in the song.
Danny Boy.
Just like that. Was that an angel? Yeah, go on. What were you going to say?
But Nick Kroll was just listening to him on a podcast, and they did an episode of Big Mouth based on the Michael Douglas film Disclosure.
Yeah, with Demi Moore.
And it's such an obscure, weird movie, and they're just basing this whole episode on of Big Mouth on it. So I thought it was so interesting to take something weird and expand upon it, and that is in the same world as that.
Disclosure is such a funny, there was this time where there was these movies that sort of played on men's fears of being targeted, like Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas is in 2 of them.
He's in 3 of them.
What's the third one?
Fatal Attraction,
Disclosure.
Disclosure.
By a vixen.
They listed,
kind of thing?
there's one more.
That's so funny.
Fuck.
It's so fascinating.
gonna
It's
kill
so
me.
Fatal Attraction is literally Erica. This might be before your time. Do you know Fatal Attraction?
No.
So it's this film starring
I
Michael
don't know
Douglas.
I don't know any of what you guys are talking about right now.
Okay, so Fatal Attraction is Michael Douglas and Glenn Close. Michael Douglas is married, father of one, and while his wife's out of town, he goes to a business meeting with Glenn Close. They kind of flirt, whatever.
Basic Instinct.
Oh yes, with,
That's the Sharon Stone.
Stone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that scene.
Well, Sharon Stone. Yeah. Anyway, so essentially he cheats on his wife for this one-time fling, but then it turns out that the Glenn Close character is very mentally disturbed. She's like, "I'm pregnant with your child. You got to tell your wife." She starts calling the house. All this stuff. So it's like all these guys in the late '80s watch this movie, and it's kind of like your worst nightmare, I suppose, if you were to ever think about cheating or if you were cheating. So it probably scared a lot of people into, I guess, being
Monogamous?
faithful. Thank
Yeah.
you, monogamous, and being like, well, that's insane. But it also paints, it makes women look absolutely crazy
Yeah.
or insane. Then Disclosure with Demi Moore is she's basically a predatory. They flip sexual harassment. So she sexually harasses Michael Douglas and tears his clothes off, and they have this sort of consensual. I'm pulling this from my memory. I've not seen this movie in 22 years or something like that. And then she claims that he went at her, even though they showed her. So again, it's like this. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of horror film for men who feel like they're going to be targeted or victimized. But it's just so fascinating that Michael Douglas happens to be in 3 of these sort of movies. But you've never seen any of these.
No.
Okay.
Do you know who Michael Douglas is?
No.
That makes sense, though. He was just nominated for an Emmy, but go on.
Did you guys ever read The History of Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba?
I can't say that I have, no.
It's fascinating.
The history of Who Let the Dogs Out is very interesting.
There's
too.
a documentary.
There's a
about it. Former podcast
What's
Brent Hodge.
What's that one?
I haven't seen the doc, but I hear it's very interesting.
Have
I wasn't
you not heard
expecting
about
any
this?
follow-up
No,
questions.
As a music guy, you might
no,
find
I did. I think
they
I
can't
did.
figure out who wrote it.
That's right.
Is it 2 kids from Oakland that basically came up with the hook, or was it somebody from the Bahamas? It's basically this thing has been going around, and they were trying to track the origins of it because I don't think they can figure out the
For
monetary
Who Let the Dogs
splits.
Out?
Yeah,
There's a man who discovered the song and gave it to them.
Yeah.
He's this white guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they're trying, but discovered it. Who wrote it originally? So the whole doc goes into all that. Apparently, again, former podcast Brent Hodge, who did the Freaks and Geeks documentary, when he was on our show last year, he was telling us about how this was the next big thing he was going to do. I was like, "You're going to do a whole documentary on who let the dogs out." And then he started explaining exactly why it was fascinating. And then it premiered at Hot Docs, and he invited me, but I couldn't go because the baby. But I really want to see it. So if you've seen it or you're a listener, let us know what you think of it.
Is the lyrics supposed to be a bit like a metaphor for like ugly women? Like you're at a club and it's like, who let the dogs out?
I thought it was something political.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong.
I thought it was like all the boys are going out for drinks.
Oh, okay. That could be it.
I
It
don't
could
know.
be very literal. Maybe it was written by a veterinarian or something. Who let these dogs out?
They are far too ill to be running around. Okay, so Max, what's this Chumbawamba business?
Well, because it came up in a movie it came up the song at some point in the last like year or something, and I was like, what is this song even about? And it's like, I'm gonna get this wrong, but basically it's like, it's a very political song, and Chumbawamba is an Irish band, I believe. I'm gonna get some of this wrong, but Tub Thumping is a sort of like act of like political protest. I'm gonna
There's
fuck
the
this
title
up.
of the episode.
Okay, Tub Thumping was something the Irish did when they were revolting against England, and the Irish didn't give up easily. Tub thumping is going out and singing and having drinks after protesting. Isn't that fucking crazy? Because it seems like such like a kind of a goofy feel-good song, and like Chumbawamba is such a ridiculous name for a band, and Tub Thumping, like just like random fucking words. But
Did Lucy go tub thumping after the environmental march?
No, she hasn't had a drop of alcohol yet.
not yet.
She's young.
But when you go like, I get knocked down and I get up again, it's like it's literally about going protesting. And then the verse is he drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times. He sings the songs that remind him of the better times. Oh, Danny boy,
Yeah.
and they reference Danny boy. I was like, oh, in the context of like of Ireland in the 1980s.
They're singing a song
and 90s.
within a song.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I just for such like a goofy like one-hit wonder, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, actually this song is way more meaningful to me right now.
Yeah.
On that note, actually, I was thinking, I was at the piano this morning before I came here. I was like working on a few things, and I was thinking about the song "Forever Young," and I was like, is that Rod Stewart covering Bob Dylan? Because at the musical I saw on Saturday, "Forever Young's a Bob Dylan song. I'm like, is that just a cover? And I don't know the Dylan version well enough, and I kind of know what the Rod Stewart version sounds like. And I guess Rod Stewart wrote it with a couple other guys, but it was close enough to Bob Dylan's like theme, because they have the same title, that he called up Bob Dylan. He's like, hey, do you mind if I also have a song called "Forever Young"? And Bob Dylan's like, if you give me some of the songwriting, sure. And so Bob Dylan's
Has a credit on it.
Has a credit on it.
Even though he didn't do anything except
Nope,
for the title?
Except for the title. And maybe there's some lyrical themes that are similar. But isn't that funny?
But like the Rod Stewart, like
the Rod Stewart just like wrote him. He's like, yo, I also have a song called "Forever Young." There's some similarities. And he's like, give me part of it. He's like, all right.
my brother DJs sometimes.
DJ Deep Cuts.
Thank you, DJ Deep Cuts, and he sticks to that name. He doesn't care if you want to dance or not. He'll play a deep cut from an album that you've never heard. It's like,
And
you
it
guys like
clears the dance floor.
You guys like Paul McCartney? I'm not going to play any of his 20 hits, but I'm going to play something off of his 5th solo album. Yeah. So anyway, but I remember one year after the famous in Hamilton J.R. Diggs Christmas party, he was DJing, and everyone was having a great time. We were drinking, and then finally, like they were like, shut it down. I don't know, it was like 3 a.m. or something. And so Greg had to like basically like clear the floor, and I remember he closed with "Forever Young," so people were like slow dancing and like swaying, and it's kind of an awesome song to finish out your DJ set with when it's like everyone they're stopped serving, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, and that so whenever I think of "Forever Young" by Rod Stewart, I think of that night.
Yeah, that's always a funny night, because there's a real collection of personalities and demographics at the J.R. Diggs Christmas party. So inevitably, Greg starts DJing, and like half the room is furious with him, because everybody just wants to party, because it's like Christmas time, everyone's in a great mood, and he's like, what is this? Like, why are we playing another By Divine Right song? Like, come on. And we all love By Divine Right, but some of the members in the party don't know By Divine Right.
I will say though, he does play some bangers that you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that song in a really long time. He does find the good deep cuts. Yeah.
Actually, I texted your brother yesterday. I was like, yo, Greg, give me a subject to write a song about it. And then he like texted me something that was like kind of going on in his personal life, and I got a banger in like 30 minutes.
Okay, well, tell us what it's about.
I can't tell. I'm not going to spill Greg's dirty
You've
laundry.
actually said before that Greg could, if he wanted to, maybe get some songwriting credit.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably
for
done
sure.
more work on your music than Bob Dylan did on Forever Young.
It's
Definitely.
true. I was going to say more work on my music than I've done on my music.
That's like, so he gave you a theme and you went
Yeah,
with it.
it's actually a great little tool for any aspiring songwriters. Just be like Ash was like, I think in a text group that we have, I think I said, if there's one thing I know, and then I said something, whatever, and then she texted me on the text, she's like, you should have a song called "One Thing I Know." I was like, that's great. And now we have a banger. That'll be called that.
You can't even say the theme. Like generalize it a little bit.
No, it's something going on in Greg's personal life. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
He'll probably be mad at me for even saying that, but fuck it. I'm leaving it at
Jeez.
Shout out to my brother if he listens to this episode. I know he listened to the Nick Nurse episode because he borrowed my car the other day, so he came by the apartment and we ended up chatting. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if you heard, but me and Max, we went to the Raptors practice facility. He's like, what? And then I ended up I was like, we talked about it on the pod. Just listen to the pod. And then this always happens. Instead of like us saying our goodbyes, we end up staying there for 20 minutes. And I tell him the whole fucking story because it's like he's like, I don't want to wait. Like, tell me anyway. But yeah.
My dad
Spirits.
listened to that episode too. I didn't know that my dad listens to the pod. I guess he does sometimes.
Shout out to Mike Kerman.
Yeah, but he just texted me because he was in Vancouver last week, and he's like, "I just heard the Nick Nurse story. That's amazing. I sent it to my friend Sam. He loves it."
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah, so
Man.
it's cute.
It's always nice when you hear that. What else has been going on? Should we jump into topics
Let's
or
get into
what?
topics.
I mean, for our listeners, we're trying to do more pods before Max goes away on tour. So we're sneaking this one in at a lunchtime on Monday. Erica, what do you think? Up Tuesday morning? Up tonight? Up in time for the commute?
Yeah, I have an evening shift tonight, so I'll have it edited before
TFC
then.
or restaurant?
Yeah, TFC. I'm doing some archiving. Can't get in the suites till nighttime, though.
Would have been
because-
funny if you said the restaurant at TFC.
The what?
Never mind.
The restaurant?
He was like the restaurant or TFC. You should have said the restaurant at TFC.
Oh, like I'm
she's,
serving
like,
beers
working-
there?
Yeah.
Cut all that.
It would have been very funny. You should have said
As you
that,
can see,
Eric.
the proof is in the pudding, guys. Comedy, I know it. Oh, God. Yeah, so anyways, you're at the TFC tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Every time I have a night shift, though, I always treat myself with some shawarma. It's one thing to look forward to.
Good.
You should have
Halfway
said
through my shift.
KFC. After some TFC, I get KFC.
No, that's funny.
Yeah, that one slayed too. Yeah, so we get into topics or what?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the topics today are going to be political candidate, conservatives. Andrew Scheer
Oh yeah.
has been. You made the topics.
Yeah, I forgot though.
Have you played your Newfoundland show yet?
Newfoundland show?
Yeah. I don't know how to say that right. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
do.
We played it in July or something. Why?
Oh, a fan wrote in something to me that it went in my request folder. I'm not sure if I should read it.
Sure.
Okay, it's all based on your song lyrics.
Okay.
But it was sent to me. I guess the
Try to
ideology
get to
is
me, yeah.
Shane will actually
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it on air if I send it. Okay. Hey kids on the pod, you cynical bastards always say don't be a stranger. So only for a moment, I'm going to come knocking at your door because I've got my eyes on the prize. Tickets to the Arkell show Saturday night in the heart of the city of Halifax, please. Barely making do on a student budget. I get those hand-me-downs and then some whenever I can. Wasn't too sure if I should write this, but what are you holding on to? Dignity? Me? I ain't got none. I got freedom, though.
All right, good work.
If you can't come through, then catch me crawling through the window of Scotiabank, pulling punches when security tries to remove me. I never thought that this would happen, but I've got a tragic flaw. You guessed it. I'm relentless. Jokes aside, my heart's always yours, regardless.
Hey!
There's no song called Regardless. No, that was great. I like that. Who is that? What's
Big round of
the person's
applause.
name?
Her name is Leanne Curry.
Leanne Curry.
Shouts.
All right, we'll see what our guest list looks like a little closer to the show, Leanne. I'm not promising anything
Oh,
right
was
now.
she asking for tickets in that?
Yeah. She
She's
said
on
she
a
was going to
student
sneak
budget.
into it. Yeah.
Oh.
Where's
she
she going to crawl
listening?
through the
Lost in
window?
translation.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah. See, that was pretty impressive.
That was pretty good.
And
Like
somebody else wrote a rap. I'm not
You're going to
sure.
give away all his tickets, man.
I don't think it's for us to. I don't think they're asking for tickets, but they. Maybe I can read it. I'll read the rap next time. Sorry, let's just continue.
All right. Well, so maybe next week we'll do a rap. That was really good though.
That was good. And that wasn't Newfoundland. That was Nova Scotia. by the way.
That was, I think you need, like, when someone puts that much thought into it, and it actually makes sense. Because years ago, I did something like that with when I was trying to impress my now wife Danica. I did a run like that with No Doubt songs because she was a No Doubt fan. And and when you really nail it, it actually
It's good.
goes well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to this person's credit, is we get so many requests for this and that, and it usually goes right to Ashley, and it's impossible to get to everything. But when someone's like really put in time to be like, this is why if I can get 2 minutes of your time, this is why. This is because it means so much and it's good. But then sometimes we'll get like a note for something that we're probably not going to be able to do. But it's like, dear Max, Nick, Mike, Tony, Tim, and Dan, can you please? And you're like, Dan hasn't been in the band for like fucking 10 years. It's like, you don't care that much. It's like, No, it's like that's being chucked in the garbage immediately. No.
I found the rap if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
Hit us. Can you
Okay.
rap it though?
I can try. I don't know the exact flow
You need
here.
a beat or you need a second?
If you want to create one, I believe it's
Well,
called.
Max
It's
can get you a
about
beat.
all of us, but I believe it's titled "In Shane."
In Shane.
It's like a play on insane. Okay.
In the mic.
Hey man, the name's In Shane, here to blow every part of your brain. Cerebral cortex, hippocampus, pop you like a blister, mister till you can't puss. I'm so goofy, I love Lucy, lips go loosely, burn so juicy. Dapper, deep, salty and peppered. I'm Johnny Depp meets Dak Shepard. I'll make you laugh until it hurts. Put your rep in the 6 foot deep dirt. Tackle you, tickle you, bust your funny bone. They call me Mike Holmes because I've got homes on homes. Holmes. Mic drop. So this one's about Mike.
Oh shit! So that was Shane. Now it's me. All right, Mike.
Mic
first.
drop. Stop rock and roll. Here to take command and lose control. I'm number one. Make it so like Picard. Pop to the top. It wasn't that hard.
Woo!
Present, future, past. I'll win. Own and ride ya. Televin podcast. Wait.
This is great. Keep it going.
Wait. Sorry. Present, future, past. I'll win, own, and ride ya. Television, podcast. Don't forget to subscribe ya. Cheers to the Veers. All the beers on the Veerman. Steer clear. I'm sincere. Can't reach me. It's clear, man. Sorry, that was a hard one.
You did well. With
Max, do you want to read your verse?
Yeah. You
Okay.
gotta give me the beat.
Okay.
All right.
it. All right, so. Okay, maybe I should do the.
Okay, do the beat.
That broke beatbox. Okay.
It's a hard flow. Okay.
See?
Glorious Maximus, my flows because I'm shit. My flow be so content. Okay, hold on. Let's try that again. Glorious Maximus, my flow be so fantastic because my vibe will get you so high. I'm get you vibing. What?
Go no beat.
See, it's not so easy.
Slow it down.
No. Okay, the next one. Okay, keep you guessing, relieving all your stressing, feel you full euphoria. So sorry, I'm not sorry. Nah, I'm a humble man who's got it all. I'm not afraid to fly. Sorry, I can't actually read. Not afraid to fly. Not afraid to fall. Charisma is my main characteristic. Rhymes tight. I can't read.
It's hilarious saying rhymes tight when you couldn't get anything.
right.
It's a bragging rap about how tight your rhymes are.
I'll stick to the beatboxing.
This verse is called Glorious Maximus. Glorious Maximus, my flow be so fantastic cause my vibe will get you high, get you vibing to the Maximus.
Oh, there you go.
See? I'm trying to find it here.
Keep going.
Keep you guessing, relieving all your stressing, fill you full of euphoria. I'm so sorry, I'm not sorry now. I'm humble man who's got it all. Not afraid to fly, not afraid to fall. Charisma is my main characteristic. Rhymes tight, rhymes right, my licks are the sickest. Chorus. Mic on much, vibes on us. Mic on much, vibes on us.
Wow. That's an all-time statement right there.
Wow.
So rapping is not easy.
Oh my
Rapping
God.
isn't easy. It makes you appreciate.
Reading is hard.
It makes you appreciate Shane's first verses.
Well, I made it pretty far before I started fucking
I'm
up.
going to say
You were-
mine
Yeah.
was the most lyrically intense. So.
It was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
Glorious
syllables
Maximus?
going on
That's
there.
not that hard.
It was
That's
hard.
pretty hard.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
How did those beats sound in the old mix?
Sounded good.
Erica, look at
Sounded
you on the
good.
dials. You're
Yeah.
now a music producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, production credit.
Engineer.
That's how
Yeah.
Jimmy Iovine started, which is a great segue.
It is a great
Second
segue.
subject. Shit. Okay, we're gonna start.
It's all right. Should we give this guy what was
Hey,
his
who is
name?
that?
Should we give him a shout out here because it was
Yeah, we should. He formerly worked in this building, actually. His name's Adam Joshua.
Oh, cool.
okay. I know Adam.
We
Shout
know
outs to
him.
Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's friends with our buddies Carter and Tyler. Well, there you go, Adam. Well written, my friend. You put a lot of thought into it. Okay, so
So Andrew Scheer.
Andrew Scheer. I like that we just had that weird segue. We went off on a tangent, and now we're back to our first topic, which is that the leader of the Conservative Party, who will be running for Prime Minister in a little short while, it has come out that he apparently lied on his not his resume per se, but about his credentials, what he has done in the past. This tweet from someone named Jim Carr says Andrew Scheer has been caught faking his resume. He said he was an insurance broker, but in quotes, he was not, reports the Globe and Mail. Scheer never got a license. Watch this video and ask yourself, why does he now say he was something he wasn't? All right. So I guess this guy got busted fronting like he had some sort of broker's license.
How did he get busted, though? That's not clear.
I think they checked his.
You can find the records, I think.
Yeah, just check the school records of who graduated.
Oh, okay.
So, and they have a supercut of him at different speaking engagements being like, I got my start in insurance. I was a broker. It's sort
I
of
think one time he says he's a broker, but otherwise he sort of like dances around that he was like, I was insurance. I know what it's like, but doesn't quite.
It totally felt like that,
Yeah.
too. It's like, I don't want to say on the record I was a broker. So I'm like, I got my start in insurance. So I was doing things in insurance.
Is that cool of a job where it's like, no, you weren't?
Probably,
You know.
probably trying to show that he understands economics from an insurance level or business.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Like, he's trying to
So
appeal to
there
the community.
is some weight to saying I was insurance. It like applies to his current job.
Well, if he wasn't doing that, what was he doing? It's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Just hanging out of the office, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, the reason that this is in the Pod Topics group today is because Max wanted to know, when have you lied on your resume, and when is it okay to lie? Well, okay, first of all, because we do talk politics sometimes on this show, is this concerning coming from a political candidate, or does this feel par for the course?
No, this one's pretty harmless in terms of like the lies. To me, it doesn't really offend me that much. But I am very interested in the subject matter of like people's memories playing tricks on them, and them, because Brian Williams, I think we've talked about this on the pod before. Brian Williams got into a lot of trouble about a story he told about going to Iraq, and his plane was or his helicopter was being
He had a
shot
whole
at.
war story.
Yeah, and then it turns out that didn't quite happen. But he kept telling the stories, and then at a certain point, he might have like convinced himself that it actually did happen. I'm always interested in like the way people retell their own history.
Sure.
Because there's definitely like a bunch of guys that went to McMaster when I was there that say they were in the Arkells. Like
Right.
there's like, oh yeah, I was in the band when it first started. It's like, oh I was the original keyboard player, or I was the original drummer. Like and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I think I vaguely remember being like at a party with you one time. But because they went to school with me, the idea of like how they are connected,
And maybe they jammed with you once.
and
or
maybe they
something,
jammed
yeah.
with me. And by the way, I'm not calling them a liar or anything. It's just like they genuinely have convinced themselves that the relationship was like bigger than it was. Or maybe I forget and it's sort of out of my mind, and maybe they're right. But I do think the memory does play funny games as time passes on. And so with Andrew Scheer, I don't know if he was trying to pull one over on people, or he genuinely like has convinced himself that
He
that's
would
what
know
was.
he didn't have a broker's license.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's just an exaggeration, and I think I was reading some stats that 75% of people exaggerate on their resume. So
Did you pull up that research this morning?
yeah,
Oh, good for you.
I looked at all the materials.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, well, I put my shoe on the other foot for a second.
Yeah.
And
On
I go,
your right
okay,
foot?
On my right foot. Yeah, that's good work. Because I wouldn't vote for Andrew Scheer personally, but I think, okay, if my guy who I really liked, who kind of stood for what I believe in, fibbed his resume that way, I would be like, is this really going to like is this going to end his campaign? Are we going to totally discount everything else he's done? And this one seems kind of minor to me. So that's why I'm not too bothered by it.
Yeah.
Is that too soft of a...
No. I lean that way. I mean, listen, like it is what it is, and one would argue that it speaks to a larger troubling trend as far as this guy's personality and sort of what he's willing to say and what he's willing to do. Because there's people that are like that. It's like one of those things. Like he clearly knows he doesn't have a broker's license, so he's like willing to lie about that to sort of like, I guess in his mind, propagate an image of himself to the people that he's trying to appeal to. So it's like, if he's willing to do that for something minor like that, then what's he want to do? Like, I get the argument, but I'm also like, when we get back to a more personal level, we've all probably like misrepresented ourselves slightly on a resume in order to get a position that you really wanted, and while thinking with good intentions, I'm going to do a great job once I get there. I just didn't happen to get that credit, that extra credit that I needed. Maybe he went to broker school, maybe he failed broker school. I don't know. I have no idea.
You ever lied in a resume, Mikey?
I was thinking about that today for Max's question, and I honestly don't think I have. And not because I wouldn't like let's say that like I don't know, at some point I lost my job and I hadn't like directed a commercial yet, like, but I maybe pitched an idea on a commercial that won a Promax. I might say I wrote an award-winning commercial.
Yep.
But I really just added an idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I could see myself saying that. I just hadn't been in the position to do it. Like my resume was basically my high school resume where I actually used the same template, whereas all the same things, where it's like list your character attributes because you have so little in a high school resume. So it's like good interpersonal skills I think is still there if I went and found the Word doc in my Hotmail, which by the way was not a lie. I have all right
You're a very
interpersonal
charming
skills.
dishwasher at Swiss
I
Chalet.
don't fucking right. Hey, I was a server at Swiss Chalet, dishwasher at Krabby Joe's. Yeah.
I've never had a resume. But,
Never had a resume?
No, I've never.
How did you get the job at Much Music?
Or
Like
to
just
leave.
Mike stuck you in?
Just contest videos. And then, I worked at a movie theater. I just showed up and they just interviewed me and hired me. And then, same thing, I worked at Talese, which apparently people know, but for the people who don't, it's like a value village. And then my friend Sean hired me to sell cell phones. And he's like, your resume better be good, he told me. And then I was like, uh-oh. I was like, Sean's not fucking around. So I was on a vacation, and I spent the first day of the vacation trying to type up this horrible resume. It was so embarrassingly formatted. It was very sloppy, and I sent it to him. And he's like, I was just kidding. You don't need a resume. You're hired. I was like, okay. So I kind of had a bullshit resume typed up under duress, but I've never actually used a real one.
So you had a phony resume. You just didn't have a chance to slide it across the table.
I emailed it, and it was just like hilarious. Like, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And he just kind of laughed it off and just said, I never actually needed one.
This is an interesting question for Erica, though, because she's at the age where she's going to have to lie on her resume to get jobs.
Yeah.
So you don't want to talk about this?
No. This is extremely triggering for me when you posted this in the group.
That's all right, but you can do the job.
What I will say is it's always interesting because I know lots of friends who never quite graduated from anything that they did, but then they got in on time. Like, even friend of a friend who works in journalism, I'm not talking about Erica, didn't finish from Ryerson.
Right.
And this person has a very distinguished job at a reputable news agency. But this person is a great reporter. They're awesome what they do. And
You can just say Peter Mansbridge. It's okay.
childhood friend of mine.
Yeah. Let's go way back.
Yeah. But I feel like the other trick is you have to just buddy up with people in the industry, because I kind of love lying for my friends.
That's why you're a great friend.
That's such a relief.
No. To help.
You enjoy the heist element of it. You do. The thing about Max's personality is he's like, let's see if we can get somebody like a gig here. This would be great.
Yeah.
And there's like, how can we go about it? You kind of like, whereas that I have a lot of anxiety when it's like, I think we're kind of circumventing. Whereas like you kind of like it.
But the reason why is I have so much faith in my friends. I have so much admiration for what they do and what they're good at, is that I would lie for them because I know they'd be a good employee. Like, if I have some lazy friends that were like not qualified for a certain position, I would not stick my neck out. But if I have a friend that like I think would fucking kill it, I would lie to the end of the earth for them.
Yeah.
I've told people I've gotten into Sheridan for advanced film and television, and then I tell people, and then I went to Mohawk for TV broadcasting. Now I work at Much, and it's all true, but I never actually went to Sheridan. I got accepted to Sheridan for advanced film and television, and I went to Mohawk. Never finished Mohawk, but everything's true. But it's still like a misleading thing.
Is a lie by omission still a lie?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
But it's not the truth, and the gray area might. Some people might fall.
Yeah, they should follow up.
It also depends how young you are too.
Right.
If you're young and hungry, there's something endearing about it. If you're just some old guy lying to brag, then that's weird.
That's true.
Well, the whole thing with resumes, I think, like as a construct, is essentially this. It's like if you finish a 4-year or 3-year program or whatever it is, and there's like a pile of like 20 resumes on the gatekeeper, the person making the decision's desk. All that says is it's like they are responsible enough to complete a 3-year course to its completion or whatever, or a 4-year course or whatever it is. It's like it says something about, I guess, like your personality, not even necessarily your work ethic or how good you are at your work. It's just like, well, we know that they're responsible enough to finish something. Like, so it's
but
like,
that is saying a lot about your
I
work
agree,
ethic.
because a lot of people, yeah. And so, but I feel like a lot of people, so that's kind of like this weird, like factor to like weed things out. But that being said, it doesn't necessarily speak to your ability to do the job. You know what I mean? So it's like I didn't go to post-secondary. We've talked about this on the podcast and all that stuff. But it's like you get in, and then once you prove it, I don't think anyone would care. Like, I didn't lie about not going.
But you want to if you're the person hiring somebody, you want to stack the odds in your favor, and you're a bit of an outlier. I think more people who can actually finish something the odds are probably better that they're going to be a good employee. Maybe not a superstar.
Yeah, and the arts are a slightly different category too.
True,
because
yeah.
like you had like a portfolio of videos that you'd shot. It's like, oh, clearly this kid is very committed to making commercials and writing funny stuff. So like, proof was in the pudding there.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I kind of did a similar thing with the last real job I had. I worked at the Hamilton Law Association, and I was very committed to making the band work.
You got your law degree, right? Right at the same time Andrew Scheer was getting his brokerage license?
Well, basically, I said to the person hiring me, Rebecca, who is Lauren, my girlfriend's mother. That's how I met Lauren, which that's another story for another day. I said, it's like, I graduated from political science, and next step is law school. So I think this would be a great sort of job in the meanwhile before I apply for law. And I was never planning to go to law school.
You never meant it when you said it.
No, definitely not.
Right.
But actually the funny part about that story is that I put in like my extracurriculars or whatever, that like I'm in a local rock band, Arkell's, and her son Luke is also in a band, The Dirty Nil, and he was like in high school probably at the time because I'm 4 years older than Luke, or probably just starting university, and she took pity on me because she loves her son Luke so much and knew that like, oh, this kid's in a band, my kid's in a band, let's give him a job because it's
a tough go.
It's a tough go. And so it wasn't me trying to get into law school or quote unquote trying to get into law school. It was me being in a band that got me that job.
And now you're rich.
Yeah.
When I was doing my my interview with Much, it was we were just talking about this with Unzi on the pod, but so like my job, I was 4 hours a day. The title was unit assistant, and I was like fetching coffees, labeling tapes, and but in my interview with the two people that ultimately hired me, one of them in the interview was Justin Stockman, who is now
Patron saint.
the Podfather. He asked me, he was like, because I'd only been out of high school for like a year, and I did graduate high school, and my plan was to go to school, and I'd been accepted, much like Shane said, to a couple different schools. So I was like, if this doesn't work out, like I'll just go to school and I'll figure it out from there. But he said, he was like, well, we don't want to mess with the trajectory of your schooling, but we think you'd be great for this job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The interview was going great. He goes, he's like, tell us right now, do you plan to go back to school if I give you this job? Because we don't want to mess with the trajectory. I was like, absolutely. I'm like, education is super important. I'm like, I will go back. If like when I get in, I'll go like in the fall, maybe I'll do like a part-time program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The minute I got onto like a set and started seeing how things done, I'm like, there's nothing I can learn at Mohawk College or George Brown, or Sheridan, or any of these schools that is going to teach me anything that I can't learn from the guys that are actually doing this shit right now. So, but I knew it was a lie when I said it then.
I'm going to put this out there. Erica, I will lie for you on any future job you want as your reference. All right?
Thanks, Max.
Whatever you put on your resume, you'd be like, I wrote the show, I created Mike on Much, whatever you want. I'll just say that.
I might have already done that a little bit.
Okay.
You'll continue to do so.
Yeah. But there's another character who's involved in this pod who I may have helped get his job. Who? We won't say his name.
We can't say
Can we
names.
beep a name?
I would argue there might be multiple.
There's a few, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
one, that's...
Well,
Can we beep a name? Me out?
who?
Oh, okay.
You know that story.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
it's a good
course.
story, but he's fine.
yeah.
And that was a great hire, I think, for that place.
Oh, it totally worked out.
If you got fired from Arkell's tomorrow, let's just say you're banned from being in a band.
Okay.
What do you put on your resume? Are you like 2016 knocking at the door? Like do you
Just the single-
like do you list
just
like
the discography?
played the Junos?
Yeah.
Do you put that on a resume or is that useless?
Yeah, I'd be in a weird position to be looking for a new job. Yeah, I don't know.
Focus on the business side. Like, look at what you've created, because it's like music.
Yeah, I'd be like a multi-million-dollar company, et cetera, et cetera.
right.
I don't know if that's true, but you know, whatever. But you lie in your resume, and that's what you say. Though, speaking of other jobs and stuff, this kind of, you guys always joke about how I'm the most sort of like blindly optimistic person. While I was watching Girl from the North Country, I was like just thinking to myself, because I had a lot of time to think during this musical, and I was like, I should write an Arkell's musical. It'd be a hit. And I just started like dreaming up, and my dad knows the guy who wrote Come From Away, which is a smash hit on Broadway. I was like, so what I'll do when I get out of the theater, I'm just going to email my dad. I'm like, can I get David's email address and just starting to know the musical will be kind of, in theaters by next year or something. It was just, and then, of course. And then I walked about like 3 blocks from the theater after it was done. I was like, wait a second, this guy lives on Broadway. Like he lives in New York now. He has like the most successful show on Broadway right now. He's probably had 100 different thoughts about what his next thing is going to be. And me sending him an email, be like, how about your next one is just about Arkell songs? Go. I was like, okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch.
Would you star in it? The musical?
Yeah, sure.
I'm knocking at the door. I'm knocking at the door.
Will someone open it?
And then I was brought down to earth. But yeah.
I think you could pull it off.
You think so?
Yeah.
Lauren pointed out another funny thing, not to talk about myself, but we're going to do it. Is she was talking about like some bug. She was like, oh, there's a bug in the house, and she's very scared of bugs. And she was like called like a silver something. It's just some
Silverfish.
Silverfish. Is that what it? Yeah, she's like a silverfish. I was like, what's a silverfish? She's like, you don't know what a silverfish is?
I always call them centipedes.
Okay.
Incorrectly, yeah.
And then I was like, I have no idea what a silverfish is. What are you talking about? She's like, it's a type of bug. I'm like, it's a type of bug? I've never heard of that. She's like, Max, if you're not interested in a particular thing, you know zero about it. She's like, you literally don't know anything. Like, you have a lot of interest. You're a very smart guy. Like, but if there's a particular area that you're not interested, like,
Name 6 bugs. You can name 6 bugs.
Ants.
There's one.
Centipedes.
Okay. That was said here, but I'll allow it.
Cricket.
Yeah, that's a bug.
Ladybug.
There you go. Bug in the name, so that was easy.
Mosquito.
Yeah, that's
Black
5.
fly.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, see?
But yeah, I definitely didn't know what
Good
a
job,
silver
Max.
fox was.
Yeah.
Was it?
Silverfish.
Silver fox.
Yeah.
See, by
I
the
know
way-
what a silver fox is.
Eric's like, I know what it is.
Yeah, I sure do.
But and by the way, that might not even be the one she was talking about. I like, and we've had this conversation like 4 times. I'm like, what kind? And it is gone from my brain within like 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Most people probably would have went with spider first as far as bugs. Yeah. I don't know what a silverfish is either. I'd never heard that.
good.
I've
Okay.
never heard
Don't
that
feel
term
so
before
bad.
in my life.
They're the ones with a bunch of legs.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bug. I guess they all have a lot of legs. All right. Third topic.
Okay, so next topic, moving on. Are we going to do this Vanity Fair piece, sort of the idea of legacy and memoirs, or should we move to Shane's topic?
Let's do Shane's topic.
Okay, so we'll skip this topic. We'll come back to it another day. Shaney boy, you're on the spot.
Have you guys been following Aaron Carter by any chance?
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
I have not.
It's
Nor have I.
insane. He started Instagram living his entire life from morning till night.
Oh, I
It's
didn't know that.
Well, what happened originally was I wasn't following him on Instagram, but Nick Carter released a thing like, I'm very scared for Aaron right now and myself because he's threatened to hurt me and my family. So I was like,
I saw that.
I was like, oh, what's going on with Aaron? And then I flip it over and he's live and Aaron's just grooving out to beats and talking about how he's the hottest thing in music right now.
What?
Yeah, and he's like, all this controversy just adding to his clout or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just watching him for like half an hour. It's kind of boring. He's just playing the keyboards or whatever. But every day I just check in on him for like 20 minutes because he's kind of talking funny. He's a little acting like he might be on cocaine, if I was to guess. Not to make an accusation, but it's a little bit strange behavior. And I remember him on Dr. Phil a few months ago, like maybe a year ago. He was like 90 pounds and he was all like looked like he was on meth or something. But now he looks better. He's still very skinny, but he's a healthier weight. Anyway, the next day I check out his Instagram live and he's talking about a tattoo artist coming to his place to do like a chest piece and it's the guy who tattooed that Tekashi 6969. And that guy has like a bunch of face tattoos. But then once the tattoo artist gets to his house, Aaron Carter calls an audible and he switches from his chest to his face. And they're
crazy.
They're just like
tattoo.
looking up what to get. And he's like, I want a Medusa. Look up Medusa. Go. And so they Google image Medusa and there's a picture of Rihanna. He's like, Rihanna's sexy as fuck. He's like, I want to get her on my face. He's like, she got a man? And they're like, I don't care. Just let's draw it up. So they draw up Rihanna's face with snakes in her hair and then just put this huge, it's like this big.
It's like covering half of his face.
Have you seen this, Max?
Yeah.
Have you seen this, Erica?
No.
It's nuts.
Erica, were you an Aaron Carter fan back in the day?
No.
All I know is he beat Shaq.
Yeah, and he tells you how in the song. Well, he's live right now too.
Okay, let me see this thing. This is wild, man. Okay, so are you concerned about a move like that, or do you think he's of sound mind when he does something like
Well,
that?
now he's like a TMZ darling. He's all over the news. He's increased his followership by like 250,000 followers.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
You taking notes
So
for this family?
no,
trip?
he's live right now. I'm just showing you.
Wow.
Like he's always live. He says he's like Big Brother now. Like but it's like real.
It's giving me kind of like
It doesn't look as bad as I thought it would.
But
look.
he's got a filter. He always puts a filter on, so it has the little like flowery filter.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like it's in the right spot if you're gonna do something like that anyway.
Isn't it alarming that face tattoos have become so popular right now? It's like, is this like the current like youthful rebellion move now? I know every generation has their own way of like sticking it to their parents and, you know, giving the middle finger to the authorities. But the face tattoo shit is fucking crazy. It's like, I always thought like neck tattoos were like too much.
But now
neck
normalized.
tattoos seem kind of fucking normal. But the face tattoos.
Do you think
that shit is
do you think
crazy.
Mike Tyson looks weird with his face tattoo? Or
Yeah, I think they all look fucking weird.
I feel like Tyson's become normalized.
Really?
You just accept the way his face looks with a tattoo on it. I don't think Aaron looks that crazy, to be completely honest. It just looks like makeup from like a theater show or something.
It's the thing is, if you're famous enough, you get it all out there in one blast where it's normal to people. Like if Post Malone comes into McDonald's, you're not going to be alarmed. Yeah. But if that guy didn't get that out there in one blast for you to normalize to it, every time you have an interaction with somebody who hasn't met you before, you're scaring them a little bit.
I also think, to Max's point, like anything will work on a famous person in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because they are their own brand.
I thought that was my point I was just making.
But Max is saying that,
not
like,
to fight for points.
Max's point is like, are we in the end times? Is he being antiquated? Is he being like old fashioned by saying it's fucked up? He's saying it's fucked up if some guy comes in for an interview here today.
Yeah.
And they have a face tattoo.
Oh.
Civilians.
Right. You're saying he's normalizing it for civilians. Famous people are.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying it's like it's not crazy for a Tyson type to have it. To Shane's point, to Max's point, are they detrimental to just like Joe Schmo on the street?
I'm just wondering what's next too. It's like, because you remember like back in the 90s, like people started getting tattoos or like or weird piercings and stuff like that. Like I remember like being a kid and my mom going like, ugh, those kids like with their nose pierced or their eyebrow pierced, that's too much. Like my mom fucking hated that. And then, of course, that became normalized, and tattoos became normalized. Everything's fucking and this was like, okay, we're going to face tattoos. Like, what's next? It seems like every generation needs to like do an extension of whatever the previous thing was. What is possibly going to be next?
Here's a question. In 20 years, when Shane and I's daughters go into, say, like a bank,
they're going to have their faces tatted.
Maybe.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but Lucy's going to have her fucking face tatted.
No. My question was this, because all sorts of people go into banks. My question will be, is the person behind the counter going to have a face tattoo? Like, it's possible. Is our idea of like whatever normalized North American society is, or like a white collar job or whatever, or the sort of job that's not a labor job, like, will a bank teller have a crazy tattoo on their face? Will we get to that point? That's the question.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, you know, the idea of someone having a sleeve and working a professional job like 10 years ago seemed kind of crazy to me.
You wouldn't think twice.
When I got my Michael J. Fox portrait on my arm, people thought I was nuts, and that's just on my shoulder.
Yeah, that could be covered up at any point.
Completely covered, even if I'm wearing a short sleeve dress shirt.
Yeah.
If your doctor had a tongue piercing, would you be concerned?
Tongue piercing? I just think he's a little kinky. Yeah, I'd be like, cool.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Would you find it weird?
Maybe for medical professionals a little bit, but you know, if you're in the hospitals, like nurses and stuff have tattoos, I could see them having a tongue pierce. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just like, I don't know what normal is. Like, I mean, like people are gonna have this stuff and they're gonna work in all sorts of jobs. But if you just mean like whatever we consider a professional job of a certain, like you have to wear like a tie and a fucking a white shirt to work, will those people have, you know, face tattoos? I don't know the answer to that, but I would say probably, like Shane says, like, why not? Like, we're all just keep sort of evolving all the time.
But that's not my question here.
What is it?
My question for you guys is, this is paying off very big for Aaron Carter short term.
Yeah.
Who knows? In a month, he might wind up dead or something. Like, we find out he's on drugs right now or something. But what's the most impulsive thing you've ever done that has paid off?
Oh, wow. Before we get there, yeah, I worry about that guy. Like, it's not going to surprise me at all if he's dead in the next 5 years.
No.
2 months. Yeah.
No. And there's people who are either enabling him on his comment section for the live or who are very concerned about him.
Yeah. But back to your question.
I mean, I'm interested in that bigger question too, of like the idea of like someone's personal spiral as entertainment. Like that's kind of a big question that's been happening now for 2 decades. But like, we as like a society or people,
right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it reminded me kind of almost Shia LaBeouf too. Had a weird phase.
Well, it's like
he was like broadcasting his life. For like
it always feels icky to me.
Well, it's just interesting. Like, it's like, what do we consider entertainment? What's not? Like, what
Where's the
moral
line
or humanist sort of like leanings do we owe ourselves in these people? I don't know the answers to any of them, but I do find it fascinating. It's to personal taste. Like, yeah. Anyway, what's the most impulsive thing we've ever done?
That's paid off.
That you've done that has paid off. Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know, like you've known me for a very long time. Like I'm not really impulsive that way. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, by nature, I'm I think things out almost too much. Do you know what I mean?
I think the one day you walked up and you're like, Shane, let's go on a vacation. And we went to Cuba together.
I did do that. Yeah.
Us, you and I. I thought that was fairly impulsive for you.
Yeah,
and
that was.
You went off to Europe by yourself, like.
Yeah,
that's pretty impulsive.
Yeah, that was because of a breakup though, and I'd been spiraling for a good 2 months before I booked that trip. That was to get myself in the right mindset. But the trip to Cuba, you and I, that was 100% impulsive.
And I feel like that trip was the catalyst to this podcast happening. Because when you came back from the trip, you started gathering people around and telling them the entire story front to back from our trip. How funny it
Cuba,
was.
yeah.
And then Max would be listening and being like, "Oh, you're a great storyteller. You should start a podcast."
Yeah,
it's funny how these things happen.
That thread works.
So I think you answered my question. Spontaneously deciding to go to Cuba with you, and us going to a flight center and booking it while still kind of hungover, still drunk from the night before.
Shane, can I guess what yours is?
Yeah.
Marrying Alex.
Yes.
Yeah, because is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it happened very quickly. But
I was going to tie it into just being so impulsive, where I was going on basically at that time 100 dates in 100 days.
Yeah.
And when normally, if I had just someone had messaged me and said, "Oh, go on a date with Alex," I might give it a 2-week grace period and talk to her for an appropriate amount of time, so I'm not embarrassingly eager. But since I was so used to dating, when someone set me up with Alex, that day I would just message her. I was like, "Well, let's do it tonight. Let's not wait." Whereas normally I wouldn't have done that. So that was very impulsive for me. And then had I not done that, she would have gone. She had a trip to Portugal 3 days after that. She would have just gone on that trip and probably forgotten about me.
So yeah, good win.
Yeah.
I think it's a good question. What my most impulsive thing that's paid off in a big picture kind of way.
Well, didn't you write knocking at the door in one night or something?
No, yeah, I guess there's a lot of things like that where, knocking at the door came together really quickly, and
it was under kind of fuck this, I gotta make this hit.
Yeah,
song.
we got to do it, and we basically wrote it, recorded the song, made the video with you, and put it out with in a span of a month, which is very, very quick. But I'd say generally speaking, there's always some strategy whenever I've done anything. It's not totally reckless, but it's you could call messaging Nick Nurse's assistant and being it was kind of an impulsive thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't I sat on it for very long. I was just hey, does he want to come do this thing? And that ended up being the highlight of the summer for me. Or me messaging Tessa Virtue being hey, can you go announce the rally? And then Ash and I talked about it, so it wasn't I just went rogue. But I feel within the band's history, there's a lot of things where I'm just I'm just going to go for it. And there's lots of times where I get told no or it doesn't work out, but I don't tend to remember those as well.
The Olympics was fairly...
Yeah, the Olympics was was what all happened pretty quickly. And yeah, I think that's been part of the band's success, is just me being oh, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And then hopefully just by making momentum for yourself, other good shit happens. So I don't know if there's one definable thing, but just been I think a series of just me being optimistic about shit and just putting it out there. Erica?
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Most impulsive stuff I do happens at karaoke bars in the wee hours of the night.
Has it paid off though for you in any way?
It usually does.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually get
in what way?
Signed a record deal
someone
with
will buy me a drink, or I don't know. They'll be that was incredible. Ooh.
Well, when you hopped behind the bar that one time and drank straight from the tap,
I felt like a superstar.
Was that impulsive though, or was that
Oh
planned?
yeah, no, not planned at all.
That's all instinct, baby.
Wow.
Mike on Much can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Mike on Much. You can subscribe to the show on any platform that has podcasts. Spotify, do it.